Hello, hi, hi. Hope you are able to see me well. Uh, like you all know, I'm gonna speak a bit in the lower tone because my voice hurts when I say too much and say too loud, which I often do, or at least did. Um, I think it's a bad decision to vlog. It's already hurting my voice. It's alright, it's alright. It's gonna be a short one. It's not gonna be like a 30-minute one like yesterday. By the way, if you have not watched the one yesterday, you should, because it has a lot of updates from weeks of irregular vlogging. So it has a lot of updates and you should probably watch that first. But yeah, if you've watched that already, here you are. And it's 20th May. It's still only like 1 p.m. right now and I'm vlogging because this is the last thing of today that I want to get done, which is a short-term deadline. So today was actually I had a lot of like short-term deadlines. Like there was a review workshop that I had to attend, and there was like some like I was saying, like PEP is like for all the people who have done IB, it's like CAS for engineering students. So that kind of stuff, like chores. But so you have to like get some like stuff done. You have to like write reflections and all that stuff. So a lot of that is done. The review workshop is complete, so now there are no more workshops for this semester, so that's a good thing. I just have to like write a few more reflections for the semester and that's it. So I have like around a month. Not But it's better if I like write it by the end of this week. So mostly I'm gonna write it tonight or like by tomorrow. I'll have a few more reflections into the software that they use. But other than that, review workshop is like, it's not like a recorded one, it's a live one. So I had to attend one today and it was like 2 to 3 hours long, so just got over with it. Also last night I filled my GST, because for all the people who have a business in India, they know, a private limited one at least, they know that 20th May is the deadline for having your GST 3B filed. So I just filed it last night. It's actually a pretty simple process, man. I have to give it up to whoever made that software, gst.gov.in. It's so easy to use. It is like getting into it. Like last night when I was about to fill it up to file my tax, which is by the way nil right now because I'm not earning anything much. Uh, when I went to the website, I was like fully planned, like, okay, this will take 3 hours, because every government website, be it Indian, be it any government website that I've ever used, has been an absolute terrible experience and a pain to operate with. So every government website, like, you know what I'm talking about. But this one in specific, I'll have to say that, man, like, this website is really good and really easy to use. Like, yeah, like most government websites, it's a bit hard to like learn at first kahan kya hai. But like one YouTube tutorial, like for 2-3 minutes long, like you will understand like pretty easily and pretty well where you have to go and file your tax. It's so simple, and with an OTP you can confirm. You don't even have to like use your DSC, because people like me who have their DSC with their agencies who are operating, the legal stuff in India, I don't have my DSC here. So for that, like, I'll have to get that DSC shipped. So I don't have my DSC, they do all the DSC stuff for me. So if I want to even like file my tax, if there was no OTP system, then I would have to like, every time talk to my agency, hey, like sign my DSC, and that gets like too time taking and too much of a hassle. But with this OTP thing, man, and plus they send your OTP also to your Gmail, so it's like so easy, it's insane. It literally took me like 5 minutes. I was like, wow, really? Is that fast? So I was thinking like doing taxes will, I know it's like nil filing right now, so of course it's not gonna be that tough, but still I was not expecting it to be that easy to understand and learn. So props to you, Indian government, be it this current government or some other government who made this GST. Okay, look, I don't want to get political here, but whoever made this website and whoever planned this whole thing out, amazing work. It's a very good website. Okay, having that said, so that was another short-term deadline of mine that I had to finish by today, and this vlog is another one. So as soon as this gets over, that's it. I'll have to work on my assignment that was submit in like 10 days. One, that's a priority. That's number one. Number two comes just like regular studying for my exams, you know what I mean? And like here and there with the business, answering like answering calls, responding to some emails and stuff like that. So it's like long term stuff, it's like not like short term deadline that, oh, I have to get it done, otherwise I'm like gonna lose something, or I'm gonna like face some consequences. It's not that stressful of deadlines, but like these two were, especially the review workshop, because I tend to just be lazy and not do these kind of things, especially because it's online, right? So I have the option to just turn the Zoom on and just sleep. So I tried not to do that today, and I did like properly focus on the Zoom call, and got that stuff done. There's one email that I have to write to the university that I just remembered that I had to do. Other than that, there is no short-term deadline. So right after this vlog, I'll write that email and that's it. But yeah, I guess that's it for today. And I'll just, it's just gonna be like a lot of studying for today. And like I said, throw about business ka idhar udhar, operational stuff. Oh yes, other than that, uh I was looking for a few guests for my future podcasts. Like I said, this project Little India, like the name suggests, it's a project to make a little India. But here's the catch, it's online. So I want to make like a little India online, because I feel like India is misinterpreted by the Western world, or not Indians, and that's a significant number of people. Simon created. God damn it. Okay, just a new assignment that came in. Okay, never mind. I was reading my notifications, by the way, if you didn't know. Like I was saying, अरे मैं भूल गया यार, क्या बोल रहा था मैं? God damn it, I forgot. Okay, hold on. What was I saying, man? I get so distracted. Oh my god. I was saying something, yeah. I want to cut this now. I just edited yesterday's vlog. I'm not going to edit this one as well. No. Let me. I was talking about university there. We were talking about podcast. Oh yeah, Project Little India, yes. So like I was saying, Project Little India is like, this whole project I initially took up was because I felt like India is misinterpreted by the Western world, or anyone who's not Indian, which makes up a pretty big chunk of people. So the whole plan is like, for example, like Asians are often grouped together, even though there are a lot of Asians. In fact, if you're born as a human, you're more likely to be an Asian than not. So literally more than half the human population is Asian, and still we are like categorized into like this broad thing that's called Asian. Like Asian is so diverse and so it's crazy. How can you even group something so big into Asian? Like that's the most narcissistic approach by the West they could ever have. Okay, all right, yeah, all these people are Asian. Like we have such a culture, such a heritage. मतलब वेस्ट शर्मा जाएंगे देख के भी कि भाई ये सब हम इस सब को ग्रुप कर देते एशियन में. Like I'm saying, the Western or the modern world, like whatever you want to call it, I'm not saying this. It's a fact that it's much more self-centered, much more narcissistic, much more self-focused, arrogant than the Eastern culture, or the even the historic Indian heritage that we used to have. We were quite more humble people, so we we often don't like talk too much about it, which I feel like is the reason why most Indian history is lost. It's either when we were when we were enslaved by the British people. Like, of course, a lot of our historic work was deliberately destroyed, so that we kind of depend on them now. which is why we lose a lot of our knowledge from Ayurveda, a lot of our knowledge from yoga, a lot of our historic and ancient books that we used to have. A lot of them are lost because of that, but also because of I feel like a lot of our Indian experience or Indian heritage is lost because we didn't like deliberately record it. I feel like that's the thing, right? If you're like too humble and stuff, then you'll not likely like brag about it or like show off about it. You'll just say, yeah, it's all right. You know what I mean? So I feel like a lot of our Indian history is lost because of that. And while, of course, I'm not knowledgeable in that field at all, but I want to be able to represent or at least give people a better idea about what what India really is and what India really was. Because a lot of the times it's just like, oh yeah, India is like, okay, Bollywood, okay, Shah Rukh Khan, that's it. It just ends there. Or 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 send Bob Pick kind of thing. Like that's ridiculous. Like you can't sum up like a whole country into like these few things. I feel like Andrew Schulz had a podcast clip that talked about this, which I watched a while back now, and it talked about the same thing, that the Indian representation in Western media and Western business, politics, or entertainment is so less because most Asians and likewise Indians tend to choose a safer path to life. They are much more they are much more studious when it comes to academics, so they choose occupations like doctors, occupations like lawyers, engineers, because it feels like a safer bet to them, because their crazy dream was to like get to America or get to be an NRI. That is the crazy dream. It's not to be a rock star. The crazy dream is to get out of India and actually have some exposure outside India as well, because of course outside India is where there is where there is a lot of economic growth. So naturally people tend to gravitate towards being an NRI, because if there's more economic growth outside India, which we know that India is not the most, doesn't have the highest GDP for sure, right? So naturally people tend to gravitate towards to being an NRI because they can earn more, henceforth they can have a better life quality. So I mean that's like common sense, right? But I feel like because that was the crazy dream, then they're like, okay, I made it here, now I have to work very hard or study very hard, or my kids have to study very hard so that they can secure themselves a future. So which is why I feel like a lot of Indians or Asians, I would say, don't really have that risk all lose all kind of mentality, because they really have a lot to lose. They go back to India then, and um and I feel like that's why we don't have that big of a representation in business, politics, and entertainment, which I agree on Andrew Schulz and his opinions and his perspectives on this topic. So this is what I'm doing now. So the whole point is to have a better representation of who Indians are, what we really have to offer to the world. Because as look, as we all know, like our world is so is heading to a doomsday. It's heading to a doomsday, to the kind of pollution we have, to the kind of everything, global warming, be it climate change, be it the ever since this industrial revolution has started, ever since then we have been in a spiral downwards to kab dunya khatam hogi kind of a mentality, which was never a thing in Indian civilization, because we were there for like thousands of years, and we definitely had found a way to have a sustainable living. And people are finding out that now and appreciating that more than ever now. Because 30 years ago, if you're a vegetarian in like 80s or maybe even 70s in New York, you'll be made fun of, bro. Like, what? You can't eat beef, you can't eat like chicken? Oh my god, you're like so like kind of weird, right? But now those same people who have cancers because of KFC have cancers because of McDonald's, be it their fast food burger joints, whatever. Now the same people who have cancers, of diabetes, of heart disease because of that shit food that they have, which by the way has only become popular because of this fast-paced life, right? There's never a thing in India, there's never a thing in Asia. We knew how to eat properly. We knew the consequences of not eating properly. And now they're realizing, oh, veganism. Oh, yeah, yeah, that makes perfect sense. Of course, that makes perfect sense. So, like, now veganism is a thing, all right? And it has been a thing for a decade now. So, like, even more, I would say. So now that's the thing. Now people are appreciating that. Now they're saying, oh, okay, now I'm doing yoga because I'm on a level, like, I'm like on a higher level than you guys. I'm like so spiritual all of a sudden, right? Like 30 years ago, doing yoga was like whack as, I don't want to swear because I don't want to bleep this out, but it was whack. It was not looked upon at all. Now all of a sudden people are doing yoga. They're like, oh, this goat yoga, oh, this yoga, that yoga. Like, bro, like, oh my god. Like, literally 20 years ago, like, the same person would say, this is whack, this is bull crap, right? So now all of a sudden they're appreciating so much. I feel like they are realizing that the kind of society they have made for themselves is not sustainable at all, to a point now where they're like looking back towards us and towards Eastern medicine and towards Eastern Ayurveda or yoga or meditation to find answers, because they know that science necessarily does not have, right? Like, I'll give you an example. Eastern medicine was so ahead of its time that, for example, Indians were doing, I read this somewhere, Indians were doing surgeries like years back, and that was like not like that kind of surgeries, anesthesia hai, ye hai, wo hai, which has long term effects, blah 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 blah. It was a very natural and sustainable way of doing it, and that's only one thing out of like so many others, to a point, and we've lost so much of it, or rather I would say we have not given exposure to so much of it. So that's the goal. Whatever we have lost, of course we have lost, but whatever we have and we are losing, because now people don't care about it enough, I want people to care about it enough. And that's the goal. Project Little India, it can have influencers, like you're saying, influencers have meme every मैंने पहला एपिसोड इसका ही था कि I was interviewing the Indian memes, the person who runs that account. So we can have those juicy episodes about influencers and all that. We can have about Indian food, we can have about Indian culture, we can have about Indian history. The goal is to have like a 360 degree to what India is. So anyone who wants to know anything about anything and everything about India ideally should be able to go to Spotify, go to YouTube, search Project Little India and watch every single episode, and he'll get a pretty good idea about what India is and what it has to offer, compared to right now what people are thinking, oh, like Bollywood, oh, okay, like kurta, like saris and butter chicken, I guess. I mean, that is true, like all of those things do play an integral role, but we have so much more to offer, which has so much more value than just Bollywood or just saris or just butter chicken, for that sake, right? So I think that's the goal with Project Little India. And right now I'm finding people, the point why I brought this whole thing up is because I wanted to explain why I'm doing what I'm doing right now, which is what I'm going to say now, is that I'm going on LinkedIn and trying to find some Indian history and Indian culture professors, or people who have startups around this idea. And I've already made a few connections on LinkedIn right now with those kind of people, and ideally I will interview them in some time in the future. Yeah, so that's the plan, and I'm trying to find some new guests for this week already. I actually had a plan to interview a doctor who's also an influencer, because for my first episode, because I wanted my first episode to talk about like COVID prevention and those kind of things, because I felt like that naturally had more value than like how to be an influencer. Because I feel like right now, especially in this time and age, India needs that more. India needs to know more about how to prevent getting COVID, or if you have COVID, what can you do next. But something that I found very quickly is that all doctors and all medical, be it professionals, be it even medical equipments, all of them are exhausted right now to its maximum. So this guy that I was talking to, we had like everything. We had a call and we had talked about everything, and we were about to do the podcast until the last minute where he said, like, bro, I'm getting too many patients, bro. I'll have to, like, I'm not even able to post right now. Forget that. Like, podcast I would have loved to come to, but right now I have like patients waiting for me. Like, there's no way I'm doing this podcast. And it's like, bro, 100%, like, this podcast is nothing near to saving a life, right? And of course, like, he didn't wait for me to say this. He was already, he'd already said that he won't be able to come. But I mean, I 100% agree on that. And I feel like interviewing a doctor right now, which I would have loved to, but I feel like it's not the best possible use of the time. So let's see if we will be able to someday. Why not, right? If he's free sometime. He said that he will approach me back and we can interview. But yeah, so I just wanted to throw that out there. I did think of the first episode to be something around the idea of how to prevent COVID or save someone who